Well. A few weeks ago, there was an article talking about the most underappreciated player on each team. And Jalen Tolbert was the most underappreciated player on the Dallas Cowboys squad. I dare say, and I believe it's actually Dak Prescott, because I don't think anybody takes or gets the kind of criticism that Dak Prescott gets from everybody out there in the media, it seems. Well, because Dak Prescott is so hated, and there are people who do not think that Jalen Tolbert is good enough to be a second wide receiver, but I think he's going to be more than good enough to be a third wide receiver. They want these new additions to the Dallas Cowboys to take their spot. Joe Milton III to take Dak's spot and Jonathan Mingo to take Jalen Tolbert's spot. But there is a writer by the name of Shane Taylor, writes over on Inside the Star. Contrary to what everyone has reported, he's saying that maybe everybody should pump the brakes on Joe Milton and Jonathan Mingo. Let's talk Cowboys. We're about to talk facts. Welcome, Cowboy fans and Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G, and I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. And if you like this video, don't forget at the end to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know the next time we post another video or go live. And if you haven't become a channel member or subscriber already, please do. We have a lot of great things coming in the future. Now let's talk facts. It is a shame how much people hate Dak Prescott. It is just a shame. And I won't go deep into that in this particular video. But what I'm saying is, because of the hatred of Dak Prescott, it is insane to me. And I noticed this same thing with Cooper Rush. People were basically saying that they would be willing to go 9-8 and just barely inch into the playoffs and have very mediocre to less than mediocre quarterback play, as long as the Cowboys could just figure out weird ways to win. That they would rather have that than to have 12-win seasons with Dak Prescott. And the rest of the team step up rather than putting it all on Dak Prescott's back. They would just say, we would rather have Cooper Rush. I don't understand this logic, and we saw exactly where it got us. And then there was the Trey Lance thing. He was supposed to take Dak Prescott's spot. Joe Milton III is starting to sound a lot like Trey Lance to me, other than the fact that he can turn backflips and throw the ball 95 yards. And then we got Jonathan Mingo. Everybody wants Jonathan Mingo to beat out Jalen Tolbert. And I was one of these people, but I always reserve the right to change my mind. And I don't mind admitting I'm wrong on something, because at the end of the day, I just want the team to be better. But at the end of the day, I think we're just going to have to face the facts that Joe Milton isn't close to Dak Prescott. And people who think this, I'm not even going to insult you. I just don't know what else to say. Jonathan Mingo, I think that people, because he's a bigger wide receiver, that people just think automatically he's going to just beat out Jalen Tolbert. But I think that this team is saying that they don't think he's better than Jalen Tolbert. And I think Jalen Tolbert, as much as Jonathan Mingo may take a step of whatever that is, I think Jalen Tolbert is going to shock everybody. And I think Jalen Tolbert is going to take a huge step. But nevertheless, because of the desire of people for these two players to have their position taken, it's like people are just trying to blow up Joe Milton III and blow Jonathan Mingo out just blow them out the spot. Like, yeah, man, they're all this in a bag of chips. Well, Shane Taylor says, Cowboys minicamp. He says, don't buy into early hype on Jonathan Mingo and Joe Milton. Yeah. He says don't buy into it. He says if you have not seen by now, the Dallas Cowboys minicamp started this week at the Star. And whoa, did we have some early things jumping out at us, and how many are going to fall into the trap? The trap. Of course, I also get excited over football being back. But man, after the first couple of days, you would have thought that Jonathan Mingo and Joe Milton were locked into a starting spot. I mean, just in the interviews I've been hearing and just reading things from the local beat writers, why in the world are they always talking about the backup quarterback? We're the only team I know of that keeps talking about the backup quarterback. And please, let's not call Shedeur Sanders a backup quarterback, because I believe Shedeur Sanders is going to be the starter in Cleveland before it's all said and done. Daniel Jones over there in Indianapolis, he may very well be better than Richardson. He may very well be better. I think Daniel Jones got dealt a bad hand by them hyping him up so much and then him going to the New York Giants. I mean, the New York Giants, for all intents and purposes, I'm sorry, they're a bad franchise. I think Daniel Jones is going to get somewhere else, and I think Daniel Jones is going to be one of those quarterbacks that he's going to get his second opportunity and he's going to ball out. But I digress. Other than those two, who else is talking about their backup quarterback? And they've already ranked Jonathan Mingo as they believe he may be the 17th best backup quarterback. No one else is talking about their backup quarterback. But here in Dallas, we want to make this into news. We got some people talking about he's going to be headlines. He's going to steal all the headlines. And I even said myself, I know already. I'm preparing myself. Every time Jonathan Mingo makes some crazy throw, the Dallas Cowboy media is going to go crazy. And they are going to be the root of any controversy between Dak Prescott and Joe Milton III. This is a joke. There is no controversy. Joe Milton III is not ready to be a starter in this league. If he would have been, the teams in the draft would have got him rather than drafting some of those quarterbacks, because if Joe Milton can take Dak Prescott's spot, then that means he's even better than any of the quarterbacks, including Cam Ward, that got drafted this season. And the entire NFL is dumb, and the Saints are dumb if they're not beating down a Dallas Cowboys door offering a second or a first-round draft pick for Joe Milton III. I'm telling you, we don't use logic. But again, he says, I know folks are going to get behind the hype train that just is not going to move anywhere when it matters. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, Joe Milton's not better than Dak, and I question now whether Jonathan Mingo is better than Jalen. It says if we really look at it, Jalen Tolbert should be the guy behind CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. But during the first week, guess who looked good? Despite the lack of regular season success, Mingo is reportedly showing flashes of his own during minicamp as he looks to establish himself as a real player in the team's wide receiver rotation. During his 8 appearances with the Cowboys last season, Mingo was targeted just 16 times, hauling in 5 catches for 46 yards. But let's just see how the hype train continues to move for Mingo, as it is just the second week of June. Now, not gonna bash on Mingo. I watched the film on Mingo. Those throws from Cooper Rush were atrocious. So there was no way we could really judge what this man is with the Cowboys. It says, I would love nothing more than to be wrong about him, but he just doesn't seem to be gaining any traction. Yeah. And sure, Mingo playing with Bryce Young and 2 backups from Dallas last year has something to do with it. Now, let me tell you what bias does. You'll notice what the bias does, though. The bias is always going to tell you what Jonathan Mingo did, but it's not, or they're not going to try to overemphasize what Jalen Tolbert is doing. Jalen Tolbert, I'm telling us for all intents and purposes, Jalen Tolbert is obviously having a very good camp. Jalen Tolbert, I'm telling us, is obviously having a very good camp, y'all. If Jalen Tolbert wasn't having a good camp, I'm telling you, you'd be hearing about it, and people would be saying that Jonathan Mingo is going to take his spot. This lets me know he's having a good camp. It also says Joe Milton. The Cowboys traded for Joe Milton for minor draft compensation. It says during one game with the Patriots during his rookie season last year, Milton looked impressive despite playing against, look at this, a fair number of backups for the Buffalo Bills defense. That game, I'm so sick of people talking about that game. It was literally a bye week for the Bills. They took out almost all the starters on defense, numerous starters on offense. I mean, come on. I would have loved to seen what would have happened if the Buffalo Bills actually had something to play for. As I wish they would have. I wish the number 1 seed would have been on the line. I wish it would have been on the line. I guarantee you it would have been a whole different game. He goes 241 yards, 22 of 29, and had a rushing touchdown. And as he highlighted his natural athleticism and arm strength on the field. I mean, this is all people keep talking about with Joe Milton. But Joe Milton needs a lot of work. It's obvious. People have seen tape on him. He only started 1 year out of 6 years in college. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm telling you, Joe Milton is not ready as much as people want him to be. And I don't even think he'll be ready this season. He's got a lot of developing to do. Says, according to the tweets from those in person at camp, Milton showed more accuracy, 10 for 10 in team period, including an incredible deep throw to Jalen Cropper. And it says here, so here we go. The people who hate Dak Prescott are going to take this bait and run with it all against backups. Like it means something. Come on, man. I mean, not to mention, you know what? I'm just telling us, hey, OTAs, mandatory minicamp. They're all good. I mean, there's some things you can see in mandatory minicamps. You know, you can see the way guys are moving, the intensity and blah, blah, blah. But for all intents and purposes, man, come on. Come on. These are not live bullets yet. This is the same stuff that got Trey Lance. The same stuff that got Trey Lance. Everybody was talking all this noise against Trey Lance, about Trey Lance, and then when it came down and the rubber met the road, we all realized that Trey Lance wasn't ready. And I do believe if the Cowboys are seriously, if they're serious about championship aspirations, I think they might need to consider that if they don't think Will Grier can push Joe Milton for the number 2 job in camp, you need to go get somebody else. I mean, if you really think there's a chance that Dak may go down, I'm sorry. People who think that Joe Milton is going to come in and take the Dallas Cowboys to the promised land, you're showing again your bias towards Dak Prescott and the same delusion that people had about Cooper Rush. Just like last year, people talk about we're going to the playoffs with Cooper Rush. Stop it. Stop it. We were going nowhere with Cooper Rush. But I digress. It says, so here we go. People who hate Dak Prescott are going to take this bait and run with it. It says Milton will be a great backup for Dak if he goes down again due to injury. And if he does, I will be the first one rooting him on. I will too. But let's pump the brakes on the Milton minicamp hype for now. I mean, man, Bobby Belt, and I like Bobby Belt. But, man, Bobby Belt made a great point, though. Bobby Belt said, people are going to be just oohing and ahhing when they put the net down in the corner of the end zone, because Joe Milton is going to be throwing all these balls and they're going to be going through the net. I guess the net's going to catch on fire. It's going to be like NBA Jam. He's on fire. Stop it. Stop it. This stuff is insane to me. The hate for Dak Prescott is crazy. And Jalen Tolbert is starting to get some of that same hate. But again, I believe that Jalen Tolbert, I've changed my mind on this. Jalen Tolbert would just may need to face the facts. People, Jalen Tolbert is better than Jonathan Mingo. He just may be better than Jonathan Mingo. Jalen Tolbert has been lining up predominantly with the ones, and I think this is the team saying that Jalen Tolbert he's better than Jonathan Mingo. And I think maybe even his upside is better than Jonathan Mingo. So, it is what it is. I don't know what else to tell people on this, but it is what it is. And there is nothing. Joe Milton isn't even close to Dak Prescott, so we're not even thinking. I mean, anybody thinking on that level, well, I just don't know what to say about people. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to say. That's all I can say. I'm just shaking my head. But y'all tell me what you think. I do agree with Shane Taylor. I think people need to pump the brakes on this. And I actually wish that people would stop talking about Joe Milton, because it seems like that people are trying to create some kind of controversy. I think they want to do it because they want things to write about. And it seems like to me that even some of these Dallas Cowboy beat writers, it's like they hate Dak Prescott. It's like they absolutely hate Dak Prescott. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Just because Dak is 2-5 in the playoffs, no, Dak isn't just 2-5 in the playoffs. A lot of players, or some of the players on this team, are 2-5 too. And when you check their records in the playoffs, they're doing absolutely nothing to contribute to the win. But again, I'm hoping Brian Schottenheimer takes us to a whole nother level, and we don't have to worry about this type of stuff anymore. And we can start making this back into a team game rather than we keep talking about Dak Prescott being the problem. But again, y'all tell me what you think. Tell me what you think in the comments about this thing about pumping the brakes on Joe Milton III and Jonathan Mingo. Do you agree? Because I fully agree with Shane Taylor. Like, share, subscribe. Until the next time, let's talk Cowboys. We talk facts. Peace.